Welcome back, my friends, to Learning Torah Lishma. Today we want to talk about, because all the shiurim, the point is, for myself, things to get clear, and for other people that want to join in the process, that they should have somewhere to go. So, today the topic is, what's the difference between a real Talmid Chacham and someone that's not yet real? We're not talking about fakers. We're not talking about, all these extreme type of cases. We're talking about two types of Talmidei Chachamim. They're both regular, from Ehrlich Jewish people. You understand? They both follow the tradition. They're both they're both trying to serve Hashem. However, one is a Talmid Chacham and one is not yet. And this is something that people confuse a lot. They think that a simple person who considers himself to be a Talmid Chacham is a Talmid Chacham. And you have to understand there is a difference between a simple person, a regular Yid, and a Talmid Chacham. It's two different things. A Talmid Chacham, besides having the wisdom of the Torah, he's a genius. You understand? And he uses that to understand people as opposed to control people. He uses that to help people and not to take from people. And he uses that to go deeper into what does Hashem want from him, to a level that a person without that ability can't do. A person can develop that ability, and learning Gemara definitely helps a person to acquire that. But at the end of the day, a person has to do it. He has to learn how to live on a higher level, both spiritually and physically, between him and Hashem, between him and his fellow man. He has to learn how to live a higher existence. And if a person is born with that great ability, a great mind, or over time acquires a great mind, but doesn't realize what could be done with it, it's like someone that he mines copper, and then he found these things that shine, but he never learned what it is. So he has the gold, he has the gems, but he doesn't know that he just doesn't know. So lack of knowledge, even if you have the tools to make something great of yourself, but lack of knowledge will prevent someone from doing it. So we see how important knowledge is. So when we're saying Talmid Chacham, it's like this phrase that they used in the, by the Hasidim, the Tzaddik Emes. There's a Tzaddik, there's a righteous person. There's the Tzaddik Emes, someone who's he's a truthful Tzaddik. He really understands what Hashem wants from him. And it's two different things. You understand? One is, he's still in the beginning stages. Now, he could be in the beginning stages for 40, 50 years, It depends on if he learns what it means to be a Tzaddik Emes, And you could have someone that doesn't have as big as a brain as this other person does, but he learns what it means to Tzaddik Emes, and he gets way beyond the other person because the other person refuses to, or just simply doesn't know to, and doesn't utilize the tools that he has. You understand? So this is important. Okay, now I'm going to give you two stories. One with Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky, and one with a different tzaddik. And there's the story with this tzaddik. There was a certain Hasidic Rebbe, I don't remember which one it was, that he was sitting in shul. He had a shiur. He was giving a Jewish class to the people in his community. Other people would come if they want. And all of a sudden, a rich Jew walks in. Unfortunately, this Jew was not religious, was not practicing religion. He walks in, and he hands, and I guess he waits till the shiur ends, and then he asks the rabbi if he could speak with him for a moment. And he says, "I want to give you $100,000 check." Now, the rabbi was a bit shocked. He never met this person. He has no idea who he is. He just walked in out of nowhere, and is giving $100,000. Back in the day, I don't know, what is that, like a $300,000 today? I don't know, maybe $500,000. And he's shocked. So the person hands him the check, and the rabbi tells him, "I can't accept the check." So this person that is not yet religious, not yet keeping, the commandments of God, and so he says, "Don't worry, Rabbi, my store is closed on the Shabbos, on the Sabbath. So the money is not money that was made on Shabbos." So the rabbi says, "I appreciate that, and I appreciate you wanting to help the shul, but with much respect, I can't take the money." So he asks, "Why? Why, Rabbi? It's not money that's made on the Shabbos." He says to him, he says, "I'm sure you're a very nice person. I just met you now. I got a good impression of you. But I also see that you're not yet keeping the commandments of God, of Hashem. And what I'm afraid of is that your guilty conscience was pushing you to listen to God, to keep His commandments, and you were feeling bad. Hashem is He's making you rich, He's making you successful, and you're just ignoring Him. So to get that off your conscience, you came to the closest synagogue that you could find, and you hand the rabbi $100,000 to say to God, 'Look, I gave you. Now I'm going to go back to my ways.'" He says, "So if I take this check from you, that means you're going to lose your Olam Haba. You're going to lose heaven because you're going against God." And he says, "For that reason, I can't take the check, because I don't want you to lose your Olam Haba, your existence in the heavenly, in Gan Eden, when you're going to go to Eden, to the spiritual holy place for righteous people, for people that listen to God." And he said to him, he says, "You're right. That's why I'm giving the check." And he told the rabbi, "I'm going to start to keep the Sabbath, and now could you take the check?" And the rabbi says, "Yes, now we could take it." So you see in this story the difference. If it was a rabbi that's not yet, there's like in Hebrew it's called mevushal, he's not yet cooked, he's not yet baked, if it's he would just look at the law, and the law is that if it's not made on the Sabbath, then you 100% could take it. If this person doesn't work on the Sabbath, and that's not where his money comes from, then you could take it. Meaning he does things on the Sabbath, but his work is closed. Then you could take the money. However, this rabbi, he was a real tzaddik emes. He was really on a higher level. In this case, it was a rebbe, but he was really on a higher level, and he understood the will of Hashem, the will of God, not just what's in the words, but the will Hashem. And Hashem definitely, even though he permits him to take the money in this scenario, but Hashem would not want him to take the money, because then he would lose this child of his. And that's what this Rebbe realized. Absolutely amazing. This is the difference between a tzaddik that is a tzaddik and a tzaddik emes. Tzaddik emes, he's in sync with Hashem in every single area, not just in halacha and the laws, but also bein adam lechaver, between one and his fellow man, with street smarts. He's in sync with what Hashem wants in all the different areas of life. And a similar type of story is with Rev Yaakov Kamenetsky. There was a big shul that was building a building, and they were planning to have lots of people learn there. It was a whole big. I think they also have a yeshiva there, a school for Jewish kids. And he was planning. They were raising money to build this building that they needed for the community. The community was getting bigger. There was a lot more people. And there was this one rich person that used to be religious, and unfortunately, he went completely away from religion, and not only that, he married someone that was not Jewish. So, really, really left. We'll see. And he came and told the rabbi of this shul, of this synagogue, I'm going to give you $1 million. Which back in the day, that was like 5 million of today. He says, I'm going to give you $5 million. I'm going to give you $1 million, and that's it. That will pay for all the expenses of the buildings and everything. And the rabbi says, and the rabbi knew that there's this issue because this person has his businesses open on the Shabbos, on the Sabbath. And on the other hand, he's giving the full amount for what they need, right? And the rich man said he wants to have his name written on the building. So, I was wondering, maybe this guy was wondering, maybe there's some leniencies, okay, it seems like it's not allowed, but let me go ask. So he goes to Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky, and he asks him, this is happening, I believe, in Monsey, this building that's being built. So he goes to him and asks him, tells him the situation, he wants his name on the building. So Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky says, you can't do it, and also when you put his name on the building, everybody sees his name and they know that he was once religious, he left the religion, and he married someone that's not even Jewish. So that if we put his name on the building, that would be telling people that it's not so bad to do that. So the rabbi understood. He went back to the rich person, of course, in a nice way. Told him that, they can't really do this, with the name on the building. Here we're trying to bring people to God, and at the same time we're saying it's okay if you left. It's really not going to work. So then the rich guy says, you know what? I'll give you the money. You don't have to write my name on the building. So now it's getting a little better, right? Now there's no name on the building. Now it's just the money. So they go back to Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky, and they tell him that the person is willing not to write his name. So Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky says, okay, that's amazing, but he's still, the money that he's making, that is he works on the Shabbos. Part of what he makes is on the Shabbos, so it's considered, all the money is considered. We're not allowed to use it, to build a building. Sometimes you can use it. We're not going to get into all the halachic, but generally you're not allowed to use it. But if you want to use it for, let's say, toilet paper, this and that, certain things like that. But to sit and build a building that people are going to pray in, to buy the Svarim, the Jewish books, and by someone who is going against God, it's just a contradiction. They're not allowed to do that. So they go back to the rich guy, and they tell him. Says, we appreciate, again, the rabbi speaks to him, in a very nice way. We appreciate you wanting to help, but, we're trying to make a Jewish place here, and it's just a bit of a contradiction, and, but we really appreciate you wanting to help. Now, this person, he was a mensch, like this person before that we talked about, and mensch means that he was a good person, and he says, you know what? I'll start keeping Shabbos. If you. So he says, I'll start keeping Shabbos, and in that way you'll be able to use the money. So now it's like, what could be wrong? Now for sure you should do it. They said, you know what? We're going back and forth to Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky. Let's go ask him. So they go back to Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky and they ask him that this person is willing to give $1 million. He decided already he's going to start to keep the Sabbath. So now could we take the money? So Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky thought a bit and he told them that you could take money from him. However, take some, but don't take all. Why? He says rather you should go around and collect most of the money from everybody, from the tzibur, from the congregation, from the people that are involved in it. He says the schus, the merit of having this building, shouldn't be all to one person. It should be collective. Other people should have a chance to be a part of it. And so they did. So this just shows the difference between a tzaddik and a tzaddik emes. Someone who gets it and someone who's just following it. There's a big difference. Just following, halachically it's allowed. He understands all the intricacies of halacha, but the emotional aspect, the personal aspect of life, that they don't have such a good grasp on. But a tzaddik emes gets, not only does he know very well the halachic aspect, but he also knows the emotional aspect, the human aspect that's happening here. And this is the difference, one of the big differences between tzaddikim today. We have a lot of, Baruch Hashem, blesses God, we have a lot of people, a lot of shuls and a lot of rabbis and rebbes and rebbitzins and chachams and I don't know, and shpiyim, all these different ones, Baruch Hashem. But what we have to do to ourselves, if let's say we're the one that's considered to be that righteous man or woman, or we're trying to find someone that's going to lead us, is we have to acquire the intelligence, either acquire the intelligence of a tzaddik emes, if we're the person, and if we're trying to look for a tzaddik emes, we have to understand the difference. It doesn't mean, God forbid, chasrom, you disrespect someone that's not there yet. Absolutely not. That's between him and God, between her and God. It's not between you and them. You understand? It's none of your business. But at the same time, you have to look for the best person for your life. You understand? And therefore you have to understand what it is. I don't get involved if someone is thinks he's all there and he's very far. It's not my, I'm not in charge of Klal Yisrael. Hashem is. You understand? But to put myself in the best position, that definitely one should do. And on this, I want to talk about a certain big misconception that's unfortunately entrenching into our system, um, and it really needs to be fixed. And this is, I'm just going to tell you the story that I heard from Reb Shmuel Gluck, who, when BMG was having, I don't know, this is going back many years ago. I don't know, it could be going back over 10 years ago, when BMG was having severe financial issues. And they brought in a Gentile, a non-Jew, someone that's not Jewish, who was an expert in getting, people out of debt, organizations out of debt. And they brought him in to fix the BMG budget, because the debt was kept on growing. And when he came, so all the Rosh Hashivas are sitting there, the Chashuvim, BMG are there, and this guy, takes out the bulletin board, and he's doing it like he treats any other business, right? He's doing it professionally the way. So so he comes, and he says, "What's the mission of this nonprofit organization, of this Jewish school? What's the mission?" And all the Rosh Hashivas turn to each other like they never, exactly defined it. It's to serve Hashem, it's to keep the Torah, to teach people. But but he says we need like a one-liner, a mission statement. So they all look, and Litvish, what did they all say? Yiras Hashem, Yiras Hashem, fear of God. That's the mission statement. So he writes on there, Yiras Hashem, fear of God. So and then whatever, they went and did, the other things, and now Baruch Hashem, BMG financially is, I believe, is out of debt and is doing pretty well, as far as I know. So I want to talk about that. In Hasidus, if you would ask, let's say the same scenario was, and you were going to a real Hasidish yeshiva, their answer would be Ahavas Hashem. It would be love of Hashem. What would Sfardim answer? I don't know, but they're very similar to Litvish. I would assume would be the Litvish answer, because that's where they're more like. But, I don't know. But I could definitely tell you that what they answered for Litvish is what a Litvak would answer, and the Hasidim would say Ahavas Hashem, love of God. So the question is Ahavas Hashem right, or is Yiras Hashem right? What's going on? So there's many ways to look at it, There's one way to look at it, and that is that when you have a relationship, it's true that you need fear as well. But that's not the main part of the relationship. For the day-to-day reactions in a relationship, transactions in a relationship, that's not fear, it's love, it's concern, it's pity, it's help, right? All from love. That's what it is. Now, in certain scenarios, when things get bad temporarily, you need fear. Understandable. So when you look at it this way, it would seem that Yiras Hashem is not what should be the main, that should be the focus, the main focus. The main focus should be Ahavas Hashem. So that's one thing. Now, as is the derech of Litvish, of Litvaks, is they think very deep, Sometimes you think too deep, and because of that you mess everything up. You have to also learn how
it's true that there's this deep way of thinking about it. However, most people do not experience life that way, so therefore it's not helpful. So I think that's the scenario here. But to understand the Litvish approach is that, of course, they agree you need a Havas Hashem. However, if you do not have fear, then it's not true love. If you're not afraid of losing this person, if you're not afraid to not be truthful in a relationship, then it's not really love. It's just imaginative love, and therefore the crux of a relationship is fear. Now, that's true, right? Both of them are true. What's the defining difference here? The defining difference is that when I think in life, I need to think Ahavas Hashem. Why? Because if you think Yiras Hashem, then you're not experiencing Ahavas Hashem. Meaning, if you're thinking meaning it should first be Ahavas Hashem, then Yiras Hashem. Why? Even though Ahavas Hashem, it's true. Even though Yiras Hashem, it's true that it's the crux, that without it, it's not real Ahavas Hashem. However, when I'm physically thinking about it, I need to be thinking about Ahavas Hashem. Because if you don't think about Ahavas Hashem, then you won't experience Ahavas Hashem. Right? If you don't think about love of God, then you won't experience love of God. And it will just... And especially if you're thinking about Yiras Hashem, fearing God, then that's what you're going to be experiencing, and then you're not going to have the relationship experience. It's just going to be like an Eved and an Adan, a slave and its master. You understand? The relationship aspect won't be there. So even though when you deeply think into it, the crux of a relationship is fear, a positive type of fear. We're talking about a fear not to lose this person. However, practically on a day-to-day basis, to enhance our relationship, to create a relationship, to make a bigger relationship, you need to think about Ahavas Hashem, love of Hashem, love of that person. You understand? And this is very crucial because making the main focus fear of God, which is always, right, Yiras Hashem, it's always in the shurim of theirs, you understand? The danger of that is that now people are just doing it because they're afraid of going to Gehenna, of going to hell, to going to purgatory. That's why they do it. But they're not doing it because of their love towards God. You understand? It's not saying that sometimes you don't need fear, absolutely. But that's not what's being done on a day-to-day basis, which erodes the relationship. And then, when there's no relationship, when someone stops, loving you, right? A lot of people, they become, the end result is that they keep on trying to make that person fear more and more, in order to keep them in, because there's no love. But there is fear, so just try to increase that fear and keep them in. And of course, this works to a certain extent, and then it falls apart. There's only so much a person is willing to take. Now that we understand this, I'm sorry I used a lot of Hebrew words, so people that don't yet understand Hebrew, I apologize if you don't understand everything we just said. I try to explain it but just sometimes it's too long to sit and explain all the Hebrew words into English words and explain the idea. But you could always ask your friend that is, you have a Jewish friend, you could always ask them. So now, okay, now let's come back. So at the end of the day, we explained why it should be Ahavas Hashem, love of Hashem. That should be the focus. That should be the mission statement in a person's life. So now we're going to talk about the reality. The reality is they're saying Yiras Hashem. Real Chasidus is saying Ahavas Hashem. And if that's what comes out of that? What comes out of that? What comes out of that is very, very different. Now, it's true that this idea of Yiras Hashem, the whole Litvish way of life, first of all, it has changed from what it used to be, in the olden days. So you can't say what's today should reflect on Litvish in the past. You understand? Before America, it's not fair to say that, or even in the beginning of America, it's not fair to say that. But what Litvish is today, that ideology is completely overtaking the Sfardim and rapidly taking over the Hasidim. And everything is turning Litvish. Which, if they had the right Shita, that would be amazing. But the problem is the Yetzer Hara likes to push, right? If he had, right? He'll push the worst. If there's 3 Shitas, right? Today, he'll push the one that is more off than the ones that aren't. So what we would come out from here is that Hasidus and Sfardi Shita is more a danger to the Satan than the Litvish. Litvish is the least dangerous to him. Now, it's funny how they think it's the exact opposite. Torah, Torah is the Barasi Yitzara, Barasi Torah Tavlin. Torah is that's everything. It's true, but you have to know how to market it. You have to actually follow what it says. You understand? And they're not. And so they're representing Torah in their minds 100%. And really, they're very off, especially when it comes to crucial aspects of life. We're not saying that when you meet them, they're not a nice person, they're not pleasant to meet. You understand? But when it comes to life, important things in life, everybody wants to be able to, their family shouldn't have financial difficulties. People want their kids to get married, right? People want to see success. And when you ruin that, then that's obviously not what Hashem wants. You could come up with all your reasons and why it is what Hashem wants, but Hashem wants people to be successful spiritually and physically, and if that's not happening, then that's obviously not what He wants. And not only that, what they say, it's clearly against what Hashem wants. And every proof that they bring, almost all of those proofs, if you look into what the quote that they're bringing from, you look into the story and you go into, or the statement or the pasuk, whatever, you go into it, you'll see that it's actually a disproof to them. And it actually disproves them. Okay, so now, getting back. So again, so the Satan, the least thing that fears him is the Litvish Shita. It doesn't mean that Hasidim and Sfardim have 100% the correct way of what the way Hashem wants. It doesn't mean that, right? They could also have things that are wrong, but the Litvish really have things wrong. You understand? It's really, there's something, really wrong there. And at the same time, if someone's Hasidish or Sfardi, right? Today, Sfardi is basically Litvish also, you understand? It's basically gone. But let's just talk ideologically. The Hasidim Sfardi doesn't mean that now since I'm a Chassid, now since I'm a Sfardi, I don't have to make sure that what I do is really what Hashem wants. Of course you do. Neither of those are claiming that they have 100%. We're all working towards 100%, and some people are stragglers. They're way behind. They're like Shevet Dan. You understand? done in the midbar, in the desert, So, right, that's where Bilam came. Bilam and Balak, they came to curse all of Klal Yisrael through Dan, because they were the weakest. That's you understand? So this is that. Now, again, going back to reality of, they're saying Yiras Hashem, and Chassid, right, are saying Ahavas Hashem, love of Hashem. This plays out in life is now when they're trying to get people to serve Hashem. So there's usually when a person is not serving Hashem, most people are not just not serving Hashem because they're like really, really evil. It's because, first of all, to get into it, if you're like someone that never did it, and you're Jew, and now you find out that you have to keep all these commandments, of course it takes time, absolutely. But the thing is not just there we're seeing difficulties, but we're also seeing difficulty as people that were born into a running full Orthodox family, and they're also leaving in strodes, tons and tons, and most of the people that are staying religious, if you ask them, would you rather be a non-Jew, they would say yes. So, except if you're a real chassid, but or so far koifed into the Litvish Shita that you're not thinking you're Bechlal, you understand? That it could also be. You understand? By Sfardim, it's not too bad, So, so we have to understand what's going on. So when you make everything, when you make everything Yiras Hashem, that means you just have to do what Hashem says. If you don't, you're going to go to hell. You're going to go to purgatory. It's going to be really bad for you. And that's how you get people to do it, If you don't, and you keep on saying that again, Yiras Hashem, 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 and people are afraid, and rightfully so. However, that's not the way Hashem wants to have a relationship with them. He wants it to be part of the relationship when it's necessary, but that fear of Him should perpetuate the relationship. That's not what He wants. He wants that love of Him should perpetuate the relationship, So, since now, the way they think is that it's Yiras Hashem, that it's fear of God. So now, the first thing is they keep saying fear of God, Yiras Hashem, Yiras Hashem, Yiras Hashem, Yiras Hashem. And now people are just thinking of that as opposed to connection, love of God. That's one thing. Second thing is now when the Yetzer Hara tricks them into taking crucial aspects of life and making them run it in an inefficient way, just to say it in the nicest way, an inefficient way, they don't have a way to see that. Because if it's Ahavas Hashem, love of Hashem, and you're seeing a relationship, then now you're seeing this is hurting the relationship. You have a way to recognize the thing that's hurting the relationship, because there is a relationship. And you think about relationship. You think about Ahavas Hashem. So now you're able to say, did the Satan trick us over here? And really we're making a big mistake, and you're able to fix it. However, when you're thinking Yiras Hashem, fear of God, and there really isn't a relationship, it's just a fear, It's like a mobster, It's like the government. You're just fear. there might be a bit of love there, but it's basically fair, then you're just like, who cares if it's difficult? You still got to do it. There's no way to realize there's no way to realize that misunderstanding, the trick that the Yetzer Hara did on them. There's no way to realize it because everything is fear. And then they see people. So now right? For kids, right? Young adults, before they get to maritable age, come to maritable age, so they go off the derech because you don't allow them to work. You understand? You don't allow them to make money. You don't allow, right? I don't want to get into it, but it's so much more crazy. Whenever I'm discussing them, I'm discussing it on a very basic level, but it's really so much worse. Because if, let's say, you buy an electric scooter, they'll think that will be mafriya, that will ruin your learning, that will ruin, and therefore you should not have an electric scooter. You understand? They won't allow you to bring electric scooter to yeshiva, electric bike. They might throw you out. They won't allow you to have a soccer ball. Let's say in Eretz Yisrael, they won't allow you to have a soccer ball because there's soccer games in Eretz Yisrael. Maybe you'll end up doing just absolute nonsense, complete craziness, insanity on the highest level. You understand? And so we're not going to get into all those things. We're trying to keep it simple, but just understand that every time we talk about it, it's really the depth of the mistake that's happening there is over 1,000-fold of what I'm discussing to you. I'm just taking it on the most simplest level that you understand. I'm trying not to be as confrontational. I'm just trying to let people know the mistake, that the people that actually care could find the truth. That's what I'm doing here. My point is not to attack. My point is to help. So, getting back. So, when the main mechanism that you use, that the theme of the place of your life is Yiras Hashem, the issue with that is you're not able to see a relationship. You're certainly not. It's not something that's your chush. You don't have a good sense in it because it's not something that you commonly use. It's just fear. And because of that, you're not able to see the damage to a relationship because there really isn't a relationship. And therefore, whatever is or whatever came about should continue to be. And if you think otherwise, you're just going to go to Gehenna. You understand? You're just going to go to purgatory, hell. So this is how they think. So whatever they do, they just say it's Messiah. It's tradition. This is not a tradition spanning back 10 generations. It's not a tradition. It's you. You're the person, right? You're the person that made this Mishigas, or your father or grandfather, right? This is who you understand. This is not an ancient tradition that we're talking about, but that's the way. What happens is when you just have Yiras Hashem, whatever you do becomes part of the Torah, even though it's not. But in your mind, that's how it is. And now we're starting to also understand in a marriage why things go off. It's the same thing happening in a marriage, right? When the relationship and the love is gone, then each one thinks that what I expect should be, and there's no way to show them that they're being tricked by the Sitrach or by the Satan. There's no way to show that they're being tricked by the Satan because there's no relationship. Therefore, the most important thing is to create the relationship, because a relationship is what will give you the ability to realize where you're being tricked by the devil. Without it, you cannot realize it. And the devil has a lot of henchmen. A lot of them are human beings walking around. You understand? A lot of them are in Congress. You understand? You have to understand this. The most important thing is to create the relationship. If you have a relationship, then there's hope. Then there's a possibility, a strong possibility of success, of succeeding, of things getting better. So that is the first thing, a relationship. After you create the relationship, and part of that might be taking away these, sometimes there could be so many stringencies that has nothing to do with the Torah, nothing to do with our chachamim or our sages. It's just people's own ideas. There's so many that it prevents you from ever creating a relationship. You understand? So of course, you have to weigh how to go about this. You need someone who has a relationship with Hashem, that understands, who's very smart to help you through this. But as doing this, you're going to have to be willing to get rid of a lot of BS, a lot of nonsense, a lot of fat. You're going to have to get rid of it in order to even have a chance to create a relationship. And the chance is very big to create a relationship. But to have that chance, you sometimes have to cut away a lot of the fat, a lot of the excess. It doesn't mean what Chazal say. That means what all these people are adding in. Sometimes you say, okay, push away Chazal, but don't push away Al Titash Torah Simacha. Don't push away what your parents say, but push away Chazal. No. Push away what your parents say, what that Rebbe says, that person, whoever it is, push away what they say. That Rosh Hashiva says, that person who says he's a gadol, push away what he says, and don't push away what Chazal say. What our sages of blessed memory said. Never push away what they say. Push away what the people of today say, the people of yesterday said. But never our ancient sages, the saintly beings, never to push them away. This is also a big way to see who's real and who's fake. They're pushing away they're keeping what they say and pushing away our sages of blessed memory of ancient times. This person, you should not really spend any more time with them. Now, when a person starts creating the relationship, now they start to understand what things are preventing the relationship from going. And then they could start to see. They have a way to figure out what's true and not true. Now, if they're having an issue with the Shabbos, let's say they want to smoke. You understand? They can't smoke. When in a relationship, it doesn't mean that that there isn't going to be things that are difficult. There definitely will be. But that's only when Hashem says that, or our saintly sages of old. You understand? Not when someone decides today. You understand? Someone just out of nowhere starts creating this chumrah, or just the people themselves just decide to do something. You understand? And then they want to push it on their children. It doesn't work that way. You understand? When you're making something that affects a lot of people, a lot of Talmidei Chacham have to come together. They have to put hours talking about it, figuring out, does it really need to be done? And if it does, is there a way to minimize it? You understand? And this is what the Chachamim in the Gemara do. That's what we learn in the Gemara. This is exactly what they do. It's funny how they did it. We learn about it. But in practical application today, we completely ignore that. We just think we're some type of I don't know, godly being that just automatically gets these messages from God, and that's what we're saying. There's no negia involved, right? It's just insanity what happens today. Such arrogance, such stupidity that it sickens the mind. And that's why it's so important for each individual to find a tzaddik emes, a real tzaddik, a truthful tzaddik, a real truthful tzaddik, because without it, he or his kids or his spouse, it will turn them off. The sheker, the lies, the falsehood, the stupidity. And that's the reality, that's the truth. We mentioned Al Titash Torah Simacha, The point is that is not Chazal and Hashem, right? He's not trying to say Al Titash Torah Simacha and therefore Titash what Chazal and the Torah says. No. It's a lower level of reality. There's Hashem, there's the Chazal, and somewhere down there is also your parents, your mother, what they teach you. Right? Don't just take it lightly. If you don't understand it yet, think about it hard. But don't be so easy just to push it off as nonsense. There could be great truth and great secrets inside. You understand? Now, if at the end of your research you come out that it's really nothing, then of course. You understand? But, and also this is also referring more to like midas and ways to act. Like the mother teaches them how to be good people. The father teaches them how to be honest, and hardworking and not lazy. You understand? It's really referring more to those type of things. Character creation. So it's not really referring so much to halacha and isurim and these types of things. So yeah. We have to learn balance. We always say, come back balance. You have to know. The balance. People take the pasa, they take this, we say, I'll teach us Torah Simacha, and then all of a sudden, they think that's the most important thing, and really it's down on the ladder. It's a few rungs down, and it's really referring to midas. It's not referring to halacha, really. You understand? So people take things just out of context, completely unbalanced in where things should be on the spectrum, and they just say it, and they don't tell you, the different dargas, the different levels to things, and where this is, that it's lower down. It's not the highest thing. There's many things that come before it. You understand? This is very important, right? And at the same time, Atitas Torah Simacha is very important, right? At the same time, used in its proper way, right? It's a big difference to a person's life. It's great wisdom being taught there. So we talked about this a little bit. Amidst Hashem, with us brainstorming together, trying to figure out the real truth, trying to create a relationship with Hashem, creating a relationship with Hashem, and now realizing the hard things, the things that are making it difficult, and then fixing those things. We're doing the greatest things for ourselves, for our spouse or future spouse, for our children, for our parents, for our siblings. A person could be married and they're like, I'll only do this if he or she does it with me. Forget about it. You do it, and it's going to spread, right? Every single person yearns for the divine. If they see someone that's actually divine,
then they're going to jump after it. You understand? There's a lot of foolish people, gurus, that fake being divine, and how everybody goes there and does crazy things and have sex with them. They're just absolutely how they give all their self-dignity is thrown out of the roof. You become a real divine person. And what you will do, it will literally be earth-changing. You understand? It's going to be like Tesla. Tesla, right? It changed the world. Right? Electric cars, it changed the world. Not just in America, all over the world. You becoming a divine person will have a bigger effect than Elon Musk. You have to understand that. You have to understand that. And it's not just the effect grows because of the people that now do that. People that see you and change into you, which is not you. You're just following Hashem. So the people change into that balanced way of life that Hashem gave us. It's unimaginable. Just think how they affected us in the opposite way. You understand? Just completely destroying Klal Yisrael. So many people could have been from today if they just would have focused not on Kollel and focus on the kids. Every Jewish kid should have, until the age 18, should be able to go, if they want to a Jewish school. That's it. Simple. Forget about Kollel. If they would have done that, we would have at least more than half of the Jews religious today. Today, I don't even know how much we have. We have, I don't even think we have a fourth, 1/4 of it. So I think it's even less than that. It's a very low number, you understand? And you think if we would have had all those people serving Hashem, that we wouldn't have had even more giants and even better giants than we had today with trying to just focus on Kollel? Of course we would have. Following Hashem is the greatest thing. And for us to stick our noses into what Hashem says we should do because we're afraid for Yiddishkeit or whatever, that's like a holy person making a mistake. Most of us, it's really other reasons, we're not going to get into those. Our own ego, our own greed, unfortunately. Hashem loves you. Love him back. Find him. Find Hashem. And Hashem will, if you're looking for him, he'll reveal himself. But you have to be honest. You have to be truthful. And you need to have a good heart, good eyes. You understand? You need to have a good soul. You need to be honest, not trick people. This is what we need to do. I love you all. I wish you the best. And I really think we're starting to break through to higher levels over here. Really figuring out in a logical way, what could I do? Not just everything's up in the air. It's just going to happen, this, that, and nothing happens. Really figuring out the method Hashem created for us, the balance that he created. I love you all, and Hashem loves you even more.